Hi everybody, we are Channel 5 and we are going to present our business idea, Energy&Nature. The members of this group are Vaha Limbahem, Alan Artimov, Riccardo Bucci, Leonardo Cito and Susanna Giunta. Our project work is designed to exploit the lands of southern Italy, allowing grazing below photovoltaic panels, thus producing energy.
Productive farmland, which helps us to avoid the conflict between solar energy and farming. At the same time, our system is cheaper and easier to maintain because the animals will eat the grass around solar panels, which helps us to avoid the extra work due to cleaning the land. Moreover, the model promotes cooperation with local farmers and communities and also with municipalities, which are creating new income opportunities.
Okay, so another important question that we have to ask ourselves is, where does our competitive advantage lie? And the reason and the answer is in our creation of a synergy between all the production process. So from energy production, and then from the agriculture, of course, and finally from environmental regeneration. And we want to achieve several goals, such as reducing operating costs through land maintenance, and from a social standpoint, revitalize neglected lands, all while keeping circular economy in which every element reinforces the other. And so we don't just generate electricity, but effectively a shared value for our community, society, and economy.
The first case concerns corruption by criminal organizations. Public officials could be bribed by money or treats given by them. The solution lies in avoiding illegal actions by digitizing every single movement. A second significant risk could be detected in the illegal use of public funds. Increasing financial controls, perhaps with random ones, the problem could be solved. The conflict of interest could arise from private investors whose only purpose is profit. They could exclude the environmental and social aspect, and for this reason it is important to strengthen the role of local communities by increasing their participation through partnership quotas.
The major challenge. Why? To turn a problem, the rural depopulation and the agriculture decline, into an opportunity for sustainable growth. What? Agro-photovoltaic system that combine clean energy production with the animal grazing. And how? By installing elevated solar panels that both generate renewable energy and allow animals to graze underneath, keeping the land productive. But for whom and in what time? For the local community who gain jobs, income, and renewed infrastructure. For farmers who find new opportunity, and for the environment, which benefits from the lower emission and the restored biodiversity. And in what time? In the short term, converting just the 1% of these abandoned lands could meet the energy needs for the entire province. And in the short, this model creates economic, environmental, and social value, giving new life and future to territory that today are forgotten.
The main idea of sustainability of our project is to combine solar energy production with animal grazing on abandoned farmlands, a sustainable agro-photovoltaic model. This approach helps produce clean energy, support local farmers, and reduce CO2 emissions while restoring nature in southern Italy. Our project supports several sustainable development goals. SDG 7, first one, affordable and clean energy. We use solar panels to generate renewable power and cut pollution. Next one, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. It creates new jobs and helps local people earn a stable income. And finally, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. By reviving abandoned lands, we support rural areas and prevent depopulation. The Energy&Nature project shows how renewable energy and agriculture can work together, bringing us closer to a greener future.
So regarding our code of ethics, we can say that our project is guided by values such as transparency, fairness, and sustainability. We do aim to rebuild trust between people, land, and energy, hence making sure that every activity benefits not only local communities and people in general, but also the environment. It is important and crucial that we work in dialogue with our stakeholders, whether they are farmers, local authorities, investors, and simply citizens. This is obviously in order to guarantee shared value and respect for these local needs. It should be obvious that we reject any form of corruption or any form of personal gain that could interfere with our mission. And on the other hand, regarding gifts and hospitality, gestures of courtesy are allowed, modest, symbolic, and any offering that could influence business decision must be reported. Monetary gifts, on the other hand, are strictly forbidden. So another crucial aspect is the conflict of interest report and statement. It is crucial that all members must declare any conflict of interest. Seeing as the situation where a secondary interest of an agent tends to interfere with a primary interest of the economic activity, whether that be real, so a situation where a person's private interest actually interferes with their duties, potential, where an agent has a secondary interest that could interfere with the primary interest of the economic entity, or even apparent. This is the situation where an agent has a secondary interest that appears to outside observers at least, to interfere with the primary interest of the economic entity. This is in order to make sure that decisions are all made transparently and in the collective interest. It is important that acting ethically means aligning our actions with our values, hence promoting a fair, responsible, and sustainable future for Southern Italy.
The benefits of our organization are multiple, from extrinsic goods such as new jobs or income for local farmers to intrinsic goods such as personal and local care thanks to sustainable activities. In addition to these, it promotes transcendent goods such as environmental heritage, cultural renewal for southern Italy. This is why it contributes to clean energy, biodiversity, and long-term regional well-being.
Regarding our assets, we have categorized them in three groups: tangible, intangible, and working capital. Amongst tangible assets, we consider items such as photovoltaic panels, electrical equipment, and the animals themselves, which are needed for grazing. Intangible assets include permits, environmental assessments, and the legal and administrative setup. Moreover, assets such as insurance and maintenance, utilities, transport, and animal feed are related to working capital. The total sum of money would amount to about €1,100,000. We plan on financing these assets through a solid 25% equity, so €275,000, which would amount to about €55,000 per partner, considering the partners are 5. The rest would be financed through bank loans. We believe banks would favor our project, considering it has stable revenues from selling electricity, and animals and land increase asset value in addition to that.
Thanks to this system, in addition to profit, non-financial goals will also be achieved. The recovery of abandoned land, energy efficiency, and greater attention to biodiversity and the animals that will graze on the site. Other goals concern the community and the reduction of waste. Giving life to new land is equivalent to a development of the territory with operations that will be at the possible green, which will allow society to live in a more refined southern Italy. In addition, our commitment is also aimed at the economy of the Italians themselves, some of whom will be hired to work in these green areas. Our project can be considered green because it combines three important points regarding sustainability: renewable energy production, environmental protection, and acceptance by rural communities. It is a model that recovers the concept of circular economy that limits the waste of materials and energy as much as possible.
The organizational structure for our small startup is composed by the CEO, the technical area, land acquisition, and the administration and finance. The CEO is responsible for the contact with the public authority and investor and for the project oversight. The technical area is responsible for the site inspection and land assessments or the basic system design. The land acquisition responsibility are the mapping and scouting the adjacent land, or for example, preparing permits and documentation. And for the administration and finance, we have two different responsibility: the internal and the external one. The internal is, for example, the basic budgeting or the managing of the payments. And for the external responsibility, we can find the financial statement or the payroll.
The SWOT analysis is a strategic process to evaluate the business idea. Through this analysis, it will be possible to understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that could compromise our project. The SWOT analysis is essential to understand the value and the possible risks in order to guarantee constant economic growth in the agricultural and energy sector. The double enhancement of the territory is certainly a huge strength of our project. In fact, the same land performs two fundamental functions. It supports pasture and produces renewable energy. This system allows efficient work and also a greater profit. A second aspect is the recovery of abandoned land. In fact, this not only improves the overall environmental impact, but also strengthens the sustainable image of the project. Finally, thanks to the grazing present in these lands, it will achieve savings in maintenance costs as the animals will naturally keep the vegetation under control. One of the main weaknesses of our project is the large initial investment, which will be balanced with a long-term revenue. A second critical point concerns the use of sustainable materials and in the design phase of the structure. Then, although routine maintenance is not necessary for the vegetation, the photovoltaic system and structure on which it will be installed will require greater attention to ensure its efficiency. Our project offers several opportunities, starting with the numerous incentives from the government for the promotion of renewable energy, which are certainly appreciated to manage the cost of starting the plant. A stable market due to the strong demand for clean energy. Acceptance and cooperation with the community in order to create shared benefits. Moreover, no less important is the possibility of being able to replicate the same system on other abandoned land. Our business idea must also evaluate the various threats that could compromise the regular conduct of the activity. The disapproval of local populations can be a hindrance in view of all the necessary authorizations. Extreme weather situations such as storms, droughts, or hailstorms can damage the plant and compromise production. In addition, the presence of criminal gangs could put the structure at risk, which is why an organized control system is essential.
So regarding the application of Porter's five forces, we can say that the threat of new entrants is medium-high. That is due to barriers to entry being significant, since agrophotovoltaics require high capital investment, specialized technical knowledge, and access to suitable land. However, generous public incentives for renewable energy and growing profitability of this sector attract new players, and entry is not impossible hence, so competition may increase over time. On the other hand, you have bargaining power of suppliers. That is also medium high. That is because the project depends on suppliers of solar panels, inverters, tracking systems, and batteries, many of which come from China or a small number of global manufacturers. This concentration increases supplier power, especially during periods of supply chain instability. The livestock component has lower supply concentration, but veterinary service, technical consultants, and energy technicians also contribute to supply power. Then you have bargaining powers of buyers, business customers, that is medium. So since energy is usually sold into a regulated market with standardized pricing, buyers have limited ability to negotiate. However, if Energy&Nature relies heavily on a single buyer, dependency increases the buyer's influence. Local stakeholders, municipalities, or cooperatives, for example, may also influence acceptance of the project and directly increasing buyer power. Then you have rivalry among existing competitors that I would say is medium. Okay, so competition is currently increasing because, for example, many renewable firms are expanding into agrivoltaics and agricultural cooperatives are converting abandoned field. Also, foreign investors are entering the Italian renewable market. However, competition is not as aggressive as in fully mature sectors, since Energy&Nature can differentiate itself through regeneration, animal welfare, partnerships with local farms, and strong community engagement, which directly reduces rivalry. Then, finally, you have the threat of substitutes that is also medium. So renewable energy has several substitutes, for example, wind power, traditional large-scale photovoltaics, hydroelectric, and biomass. However, the agrophotovoltaic model reduces land conflict and offers benefits, for example, grazing plus energy, and this makes it less easy to substitute. Still, if another technology becomes cheaper, demand for agro PV may decline.